Hi, Erin here, performing Prac23, setting up and administering IV fluids. So today we are putting a patient on IV fluids. So the vet has chosen compartments for our fluids that we're putting the dog on, and we need to set up our giving set and our extension set. So this way we can take our dog on and off fluids throughout their stay and be able to take them out for walks without having to take the whole fluid bag around or disconnect them straight from the catheter. So to start with this, I'm going to wash my hands with some of the Softerman scrub, just as I've washed my hands quite previously. So make sure we get that all in between our fingers and on the back of our hands and up our wrists. So to start with, we're going to open by tearing the tabs. We're going to avoid touching anything above this area here on the pull tabs to try and remain as aseptic as possible. These can go in. Just adjust a little bit, sorry. So we'll also try to open these nice and sterilely. All these up and get them ready to use. So to start with, we're going to twist that tab off. We're going to avoid trying to touch this area here as best as possible, because that's going to be closest essentially as to what goes into your dog. And then same with this, we will pull our little cover off and we'll avoid touching the ends here and the ends here. They do have a cover on at this stage, but we will still try and keep it as sterile as possible. So we'll twist this off here. We'll hold just here at the base and push the fluids on. And I like to squeeze a little bit into the fluid chamber just so you're not pulling in air when you're trying to prime the line. So I squeeze usually about 3 times. Then ensuring you're on off on our giving set, so we're down on the marker of off. Also attach our extension set. So this is done by taking this off, and we'll try and avoid touching here. And we'll join these ones here by twisting the lower lock onto it. And then this will be the part that connects to your patient. So once we've set up there, we'll hang our bag. And we'll prime our line by turning it a third of the way on, which will then ensuring that's all running through correctly. So we can bolus it for a second. Just make sure it's all running through so we're not got any air in the line. So once we're done there, we'll grab our rubbish. I'll hang this one up on a little clip here to keep it out of the way. Make sure that's turned back off once our line's primed. So you want no air bubbles in, specifically in these areas here. If there are, you can give them a little bit of a flick just to try and get the air bubbles out. And just make sure there's no air in the line that's going to go into the patient's veins. If you get enough air, you can cause an air embolism and can kill a patient. So we'll put all of our rubbish into the bin. Okay. Erin here for Prac23, administering and setting up for IV fluid therapy. So we've just set up for our fluids, for our fluid bag, so everything's connected, our line is primed. So now we're going to set up for catheterising the patient. So I have 2 skin prep solutions here. So I have my Corhex Metho Mix and my Corhex Scrub. So for this, I've also got my clippers. I have some tape which I've printed up into a strip here, just so I don't have to worry about trying to do that while it's attached to the patient. I also have 10 mils of saline here as a bit of a flush, just to make sure my catheter's patent, and also a tourniquet here too. Just so for me personally, I feel like I can get them a little bit better on the tourniquet, because that's how I sort of learned. And for the patient, we have a blue catheter today. So he's about a 30 kilo dog, so he's a little bit on the larger side. The vein should be big enough to be able to hold a blue catheter and be able to flush through enough fluids, and blood pressure should be enough that it shouldn't collapse around it or it won't cause any damage to the leg. Again, we're going to just have a quick scrub prior to putting on our gloves to do this procedure. Now for this one, I've just videoed it separately and I'll attach the video and walk you through how I can put the dog on fluids. We'll go from there. Hi, Erin Turner here for Prac23, administering fluids and setting up for catheterisation. So we've just catheterised our very willing and able patient, Texas here. So our patient is now catheterised, so we're going to pop him on some fluids. So first off, we're going to sit him up. Texas, come here. Sit. So we're going to sit him up. We're going to get the end of our fluids here. Just going to hold off, takes us away. Going to hold off here so we can't bleed anywhere. Then we're just going to pop our Lewis slip on. Just get my pre-done up bit of tape here. Yes, you're very helpful. And just going to hold this one up here. Put our little courtesy tab on the bottom just so we are able to take the tape off easily if necessary without having to cut it. Then we are going to also bandage our patient's leg. So we'll open up our bandaging material. So I like to start underneath, just so the line itself can't rub on the patient's leg and cause much discomfort, and give a bit of padding. Easy. Oh boy. So I like to leave the last 3 toes out just so I can keep an eye on the blood flow, keep an eye out for any swelling or any irritation. He's a very willing participant. So we'll get that one undone. And then we'll apply our vet wrap. So ensuring that you can still get a finger up each end of the bandage is sort of what I go off, just so I know it's not too tight and restricting blood flow and going to cause swelling. And we'll just rip that off. Make sure it's nice and stuck down. Make sure all our lines are all neat, out of the way, and I also just like to leave this little part of the line out just so we can easily... Hi, Erin Turner here, performing Prac23, administering and connecting a patient to fluids. So our patient is connected to the fluids, connected to the bag, everything's set up good to go. So now we just need to set up for our fluid pump. So for this one, we're going to pop our fluid line through the pump here, following the flow direction, making sure our dial's on off for the moment. And then once we press that one in, we can do that there. We will then turn our flow dial through to max, turn our fluid pump on. So Texas is a 34 kilo dog, so he will work out to be 34 times 50 is about 1700, divided by 24 works out to be about 70.8 mils. So we will for today do 71 mils per hour for 24 hours with a 1,000 litre bag of Hartmann's. So we'll select that one. So for the time, we'll go 24. So volume to be infused, that'll be 1,000 litres, 1,000 mils, sorry. Select that one, volume infused. So that one should be at 0, which is good. So we'll leave that one there, as that'll measure how much fluid the patient is getting. So once we're back to our rate, we will then press run, and that should flow through nicely. You can see it dripping there into the patient. Erin here performing Prac23, so administering fluids. So we've set our patient up, the fluid pump is running, everything's going well. So now we will just need to pack up after we're done. The patient's been moved to his cage. He had a nice little bed in there set up, so all good, everything's running. So for this one, our rubbish will just go in general waste bin. So all this one will go to our general waste bin. Then our sharps will go in our excessively large sharps container. Our clippers will now also get cleaned. So I like to use the brush to clean them out. Use some of the clipper disinfectant which comes with it. I also like to run it as they're getting the disinfectant run through, just so it gets into all the moving parts, and we'll also then lubricate them. Again, run it through just so they all get run through and it moves into all the parts. They'll then be placed back on charge, ready for the next use, so they don't run out of charge. And our skin prep solution can then be disposed of, ready for the next patient and topped up again. Erin here for Prac23, administering and putting a patient on fluids. So we finished setting up our patients back in his housing and all good to go. So now we're finishing cleaning up. I've disposed of all my rubbish, sharps are in the sharps bin. So now I'm going to spray the area with some F10. Let that sit for 15 minutes and then we're going to wipe that one down, and we're also going to mop our floor with some Safe where the patient was as well after giving it a sweep. Hi, Erin here performing Prac23 for setting up and administering IV fluids. So we've set up our fluid bags and had everything ready for it to go. So we have our little patient here, Indy. Indy is a 11-year-old Labrador. She's in for a blood glucose curve today, and we are popping a catheter in her. Because I'm not the best at getting it on camera, I'm using her just to put the catheter in, and then my other demo dog to show how to set up for the fluids and everything else. So for little Miss Indy, we have clipped up her left leg cephalic vein. So we want to clip good margins on that one. So we've got plenty of area to clip, so there's no hair getting into the area where we are trying to place a catheter, keeping the area as aseptic as possible, and also allowing for this tape to stick down nicely so the catheter won't slip out while she's in with us. So for that one, we clip a good margin, then we want to prep the skin. So I did miss the Corhex Metho scrub for this one initially. I had clipped it prior and then decided to go a little bit more, but so for that one, we'll use the Corhex solution first, and we'll scrub. I prefer to do small circles and then work my way out. And then this way it avoids dragging any bacteria back into your clean surgery site or any contaminants into your clean aseptic site. And then after this one, I do a Corhex Metho wash, and I start at the middle, work my way out as seen in the video here. And then I prefer personally to use a tourniquet when I'm trying to put a catheter in patients. It's just the way I learnt. I had to do them on my own, so that's how I learnt. So with the tourniquet, I like it so it pulls outwards, so it essentially helps you roll the vein as well if you are doing it on your own. So for that one, I pull the tourniquet nice and tight out the way for the patient.
Good.
So that way it helps roll the vein, helps get the blood into the vein up nicely. I give
I'm right on it. Why are we not going in?
Catheter sterilely, so at the top of the tabs, just to keep it as aseptic as
Jade,
possible.
what the fuck's going
And
on?
then I like to pull the top off and also loosen up the stylet and also the
Like,
arm
I feel
as
like
well,
I'm
just so
right
that
on
way
it.
it's all nice and easy for you to go with the
I feel like
patients.
I am.
You're not trying to pull things and accidentally pull things out or touch places you're not supposed
Okay.
to. So for that one,
There we go. That felt better.
So you'll identify the vein. It should feel nice and spongy, opposed to firm when you're touching the skin.
Yay!
For this one, you go the bevel up with
Okay.
the catheter as you're inserting into the vein. So once you insert into the vein, you should get a bit of a flashback on the catheter, so the blood should pull back up into that bung. So I haven't done it very well in the video here. Do not perform well under pressure, go figure. So for that one, I should have undone the tourniquet once I hit blood. That way it minimises the amount of bleeding once the catheter's in. And then I should have got
Lucky you can cut and edit, hey.
over the area to try and block the bung off without touching the tip of the catheter where it's inserted into the skin to avoid contamination.
Forgot to flush.
So then we'll pop the bung in,
Are
and
you
once
like
the bung's in, we can
Yeah.
set up the blood underneath.
Yeah, for patency.
Well,
Okay.
so clean up the blood underneath the
So-
catheter, just make sure it's all
Yeah.
nice and clean so it can't really fester, because blood is a good culture for bacteria to grow. So then we'll tape it in and then attach to the fluids afterwards.